What is up, everybody? Ray and Brennan here of Franchise Tag Fantasy Football, bringing you the Week 6 recap. Some injuries we're going to talk about, some people that might be showing up on your waiver wire. Some of these low-scoring games, some really big misses that we had, some really big hits we had, Brennan,
Yes, sir.
how you feeling about Week 6?
Well, I feel good because I made trades that I was down. I'm 1-4, 2-3 in some leagues, and I had to trade away Justin Jefferson, and the trade panned out today. So I am happy. I know you on the other end are down to the dumps.
Just one of those days. So I just don't get it, man. I don't understand some of these things. Like, how is Devontae not being targeted more? That's one of the biggest questions I have. Brennan, do you want to hit us with the news real quick? The injury report as it is.
Yes, I do. So let's start with the biggest name here. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey. He pulled his oblique. It's what it seems like, and the Twitter doctors let us know that it's probably a 1 to 2 week injury. So if you have CMC, just know that you're probably gonna not have him next week. It's a pain tolerance thing he's got to work through. So hopefully he does manage to play this next week, but just know there's a possibility of him missing the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I think that right now, after whatever football game we got to watch with Cleveland and San Francisco, I think that they'd be right to just maybe let him sit for a little bit and then get him back healthy, What difference does it make to them, right?
Yeah, definitely. And on the flip side, for the same team, Deebo Samuel, he injured his AC joint. It's a pain tolerance injury for a wide receiver, so I think he'll play next week. But he did miss this entire game,
except for the headbutt that he wanted to throw in the end zone. Well, I don't know. There were so many chippy things going on this week. It was weird.
It was a very feisty week this week, though.
Yeah.
Other news: Justin Fields, he dislocated his finger. They put it back into place. He wanted to go back in the game, but he couldn't grip the football, so they're waiting an MRI to see if he tore a ligament in his finger. So if he tore a ligament in his finger, he's probably gonna need surgery. They don't know the timeline on that yet, but they do know that if it's not, it's going to be a pain tolerance thing to see if he can play next week. So that's what they're waiting.
I would think that he's not going to play next week, and I would really like to pivot from Justin Fields until he's healthy because he didn't look super great today in the limited time that he had, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because I thought that he's finally started catching stride.
It's funny. So when I think about, well, we will talk about that game when it comes to time. I'm going to talk about a little more into what the future holds for both teams. I thought it was a little interesting. But other news, same division. David Montgomery, he left the game with a shoulder injury. Didn't come back. So it's very interesting. Waiver wire will kind of be interesting towards that backfield. They don't know the timeline of him. He did come back to the sideline, that just didn't play. So yeah, it's unfortunate for anybody Dave Montgomery owners.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and maybe this kind of opens up the door for Jahmyr Gibbs when he does come back to kind of get in there.
They hate him. They hate him.
What are you talking
about? They hate him. They drafted him 12th overall. They hate him. What does it matter?
Are we going to talk about Craig Reynolds?
I mean, we might have to when it comes to the waiver wire show if David Montgomery's going to miss some time. So
a name to think about.
Yeah, and lastly, it's kind of scary. Trevor Lawrence actually banged his knee up. He was not going to return in the game. They're already up by 17, but he does play Thursday. So this is going to be something interesting because he does use his legs now. It's a part of his, part of his offense. So they play the Saints on Thursday. So let's see what happens there.
Yeah, their defense looked good. Their offense did not.
It was not a good game for us Colts fans today.
It's not a good game for a lot of people. Yeah, Brennan. A lot of people today. So let's get into these studs, duds, and everything in between. Brennan, what game do you want to start off with first?
We'll start with the London slate game in Tottenham with the Baltimore Ravens and Tennessee Titans. Baltimore 24, Tennessee 16. I will talk about the Tennessee side here. So another news we didn't mention because it's kind of irrelevant, basically. Ryan Tannehill looks like he has a high ankle sprain, and so Malik Willis came in the game. Malik Willis likes to hold the ball forever, and he will be the downfall. So maybe we see Will Levis maybe this is the Will Levis show we get to see next week. But yeah, it was not a good week for DeAndre Hopkins owners. Derrick Henry was great, 19 points. But yeah, no one on the receiving side. It's awful. It's a wasteland for Tennessee, unfortunately.
Yeah, and like the thing that's like, I guess, worrisome about it is that, well, maybe not worrisome, but like if you're thinking that it's going to be the Will Levis show, I mean, was he active today?
No, he's the emergency quarterback.
Yeah, he hasn't been active, or he hasn't been on an active roster yet, has he? He's dressed.
He's always been the emergency quarterback. So like if Tannehill and Malik Willis got hurt, he could dress up and play.
I wonder why that is. Like, do you think that he needs that much time to kind of like really learn the NFL?
It was like what Tennessee's thinking, because like, you know, Malik looked like an absolute bust last year playing, and he was a 3rd round pick, and so that's why they took Will Levis at the 33rd overall pick. I just think truly you saw what Malik did in the time frame. You took the guy 2nd overall. Go see what he's got, man. The dude has a cannon. Now, is it accurate? No, but like push the ball down the field.
Yeah, and that's kind of, I think, what they're missing right now, because Derrick Henry can't do it all. He's too old now. Well, today he looked good.
Yeah,
today he looked good.
Today was
the colder it is.
Yes,
the colder it is.
On the side,
sorry,
Ravens side here. Lamar had a really good game. I mean, nothing crazy. He ran the ball 13 times for 62 yards. He had an interception. He had 20 points in most standard scoring leagues. This backfield's kind of a cluster. I don't want any part of it. Gus Edwards did get 16 carries for 41 yards, but Justice Hill was just as effective with 8 carries for 35 and 3 receptions for 3 yards, basically, is what it looks like. So, again...
Yeah, both 7 points, 7.5 points.
Gross.
And Keaton Mitchell was not involved at all.
No.
At all. So, if you were holding that lottery ticket, it didn't hit, you can go ahead and just toss that to the wind. You don't need to keep that.
Yeah. Zay Flowers, he's looking like the wide receiver 1 there. He had 6 receptions, 50 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, these guys that are scattered throughout it, like Bateman, Odell Beckham, they all got like a couple receptions here and there, but that's about it. So there's really no one worth holding on to. I mean, Mark Andrews, 4 receptions, 69 yards. He didn't kill you, but he's probably like tied in like 4 of the week though. So
maybe, yeah, because like he pretty much tied with TJ Hawkinson. As you know, my running scheme here, I gotta always make sure that Hawkinson is getting a little more points. But everything else about this game was kind of like a little meh.
Yeah, it wasn't a really exciting game. Like, none of the London games have been great. So
can we stop doing these?
No, there's more next week. No, Germany. Sorry, the Chiefs go to Germany against the Dolphins. So that's actually a good game.
I guess I have to wake up to see that. I have to wake up to see that. That's, I don't know. Maybe it's probably not going to be a good Tua game. I would not start Tua that week. Yeah, I mean, what do you think about Lamar Jackson right now?
I mean, it's like he's had some like hiccups here and there, but like from where you drafted him, I'm sure you're happy. I mean, he's putting up, like last week was a dud week, but other than that, he's been putting up over 20 points or close to it. So like, from compared to other guys who who you took pretty high, like Joe Burrow and stuff like that. Obviously, like, Jalen Hurts has panned out for where you took him. Josh Allen's been good, Mahomes, and Lamar has been like right there with those guys.
Yeah, so. I think that he does have like this receiver problem right now that needs to get fixed. Like, they need to figure this out.
Yeah,
because there were still drops today.
Yeah,
still drops today.
It is what it is. I think they're going to probably be pretty active at the trade deadline to see if someone's available. I mean, who knows? But moving on to the next game, the Washington Commanders commanded their way into Atlanta, 24-16. I'll start with the Atlanta side of the ball. So Desmond Ridder actually had another, on stats, on paper, good game. He was 28 for 47, 307 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he threw 3 picks. And he threw picks that were just so awful. And I think had they had anybody else play that game, I think they win that game, truthfully. Because, like, Arthur, the head coach, Arthur Smith is a very good coach, very good offensive coordinator, knows how to get things open, get plays open, makes guys effective. Like, because, I mean, if you look at the thing here, he had 23 points himself. Bijan had 13 points. Drake Leonard had 20 points. And then the
Kyle
tight ends, both
Pitts.
Kyle Pitts and Jonnu Smith, both had over 15. So like he knows how to scheme guys open and get them open and make them effective. But I think this Desmond Ridder thing needs to come to an end.
I don't know how much longer it's going to be, and that division's open. Like it's not like, oh man, there's a world beater in the division.
No.
They could make the playoffs this season. You know,
I mean, truly, any of those teams can make the playoffs with losing records. So I agree with that. But like, at what point though? Like, you're just hurting yourself with drafts capital. Like now, you're further and further away. You're kicking that can down the road of actually drafting a quarterback, which you need.
So they're not bad enough to get Caleb Williams or a Drake May or anybody. They're not bad enough, but they're not good enough to beat a lot of the better teams in the league. So
I agree.
They're in like a weird spot, and Desmond Ridder puts them in that spot. And it's like, hey, well, you know, you've got a guy that's took a team to a playoff game. You know, you've got a guy on the roster that can do that. So, I don't know, just weird.
Yeah, bad Atlanta management over there. But for the Commander side, Sam Howell, man, 3 touchdowns, 150 yards, 24 points for most 6-point throwing for passing for touchdown. So you're pretty happy with him if you started him. Bijan had a pretty decent day. He had a touchdown. Brian Robinson, I'm sorry. Yeah. I see both B and B Robinson on the side of each other. Threw me off here. And then, you know, I'm going to tell you this. Curtis Samuel and Terry McLaurin had the days, but Jahan Dodson had 0 receptions.
Again, not again, but like he has been not involved in this offense, and I don't necessarily think it's the smartest decision. I don't know why Curtis Samuel's getting so much more work than him. It doesn't make sense to me.
I don't know either. So I'm going to ask you this: you can't drop him, but no, should you drop him?
Yeah, but no, you cannot,
because you're getting more and more tempted. Like obviously now you're probably not going to start him anymore. But like, let's just say he does have like next week, he does have like a 5 reception touchdown game. Now you're going to keep him sitting there lingering and playing this game of like, oh, do I start him? Do I not? But I'm on the side of like, you can hold him, that's fine. But I'm also not upset if you cut him.
I wouldn't cut him. You hold on to him because you probably drafted him kind of high. And we were telling you throughout the offseason, kind of be wary of the receiving options for Washington. The only guy that I really liked was Terry McLaurin, and that's because I'm the biggest Terry McLaurin truther on the earth. But just another note that I had made while watching this game, why is Gibson on the field ever?
I don't know.
Why? Why did he have to catch that touchdown? Why couldn't it have been Brian Robinson? Why? Why?
I don't know, man. Eric Bieniemy has some things up his sleeves apparently, but
yeah, some BS.
Yeah. On to the next game. Pretty not exciting game. I thought it would be a high scoring game, but Minnesota goes to Chicago. They win 19-13. I can start with the Chicago side here. Justin Fields obviously got injured. They brought in another guy. His name is Tyson Bagent. I'm saying that wrong. He came from like a D2 school, had all these records. He didn't look all that great. I mean, didn't look terrible either, I guess. You know, looked like a rookie quarterback who's gotten 0 playing time. So he might be the starter going forward. I wouldn't bother even trying to think about him as a waiver wire pickup. He's nothing, but it is scary for the receiving for DJ Moore and Cole Kmet. Deontay Foreman got the most work out of the backfield, which was expected. He had 15 carries for 65 yards in his reception. I just think if Roschon comes back next week, it's his backfield, but I think it'll be a little bit more split, but I think Roschon will be leading the team out there.
Yeah. And rightfully so. He looks like he has a lot more. He looks
like he's got a lot more juiced up.
Yeah, a little more juice.
Yeah.
DJ Moore wasn't bad.
No, I mean,
5
receptions for 50 yards. Like, you know, it doesn't kill you in PPR. No. You know, you got 10 points, but like from what you've been getting for the past couple of weeks, it is kind of a letdown spot.
He's the reason my parlay busted, honestly.
Yeah. And then Cole Kmet, 2 receptions, 9 yards. I mean, nothing out of that. So, Ray, you want to talk about the Viking side?
So without Jay Jettas, this offense looks so much different, and like not in a good way at all. Jordan Addison got it done with a touchdown, but other than that, not a very promising game.
No.
What did he have? 3 receptions or 4 receptions?
3 receptions, 28 yards, and a touchdown. So he, again, like if you did start him, you're not upset either. It's like a pretty decent game. Without the touchdown, though, it hurts.
I thought that TJ Hawkinson would be a lot more involved. I thought he was going to be really heavily targeted, and he wasn't for the first half.
I mean, he
He
did have
ended
8
with
targets.
yeah,
It's
he
not
ended with 8,
terrible.
but he
Yeah.
didn't have a target for the first, like, I would say quarter and a half of that game.
Yeah, I think JJ obviously is just as a world-class wide receiver. So having someone that, Kirk can just constantly rely on and have him be open, it's just one of those things that it now they got to rely on somebody else. And, Kirk looked bad. Kirk did not look good.
I think the time is coming where Kirk might see some bench.
No, I don't
I
think
think it
so. I mean, they just won today, so they're 2-4. So what I wanted to talk about this game was that Minnesota might have just helped Chicago kind of secure Caleb Williams, if you think about it.
Maybe.
I don't. Carolina hasn't won a game yet, so they own 1 and 2.
I don't think they do it. I don't think they do. I'm sitting here at week 6 saying they don't do it.
Even if they get 1 and 3, guess what? That number 2 team's going to take a quarterback. So they're going to get Caleb Williams and they're going to get Marvin Harrison Jr. And that's a scary thought for Minnesota, Detroit, and Green Bay to have Caleb Williams, who is a once-in-a-generational prospect, who's been touted like the next Trevor Lawrence, Andrew Luck, all that other stuff. And then Marvin Harrison Jr., who's been getting just as much praise as Jamar Chase out of this college.
I still don't think Chicago does it.
Does what? Get the first overall pick?
I don't think that they draft a quarterback. I don't think they do.
I 100% think they do. They will trade away DJ. They will trade away Justin Fields in a heartbeat. To get Caleb Williams.
Maybe.
I don't even think teams would think twice about it.
That's tough. Yeah, other than that though, the only other part that I really took note of is what did Cam Akers have today? What did he have? 1 carry today?
Cam Akers had 1 carry for 8 yards and 1 reception for 7 yards.
I kept asking myself, where is Cam Akers? Where is he? Because Madison didn't look great.
18 carries for 44 yards. Yeah, no, that's not good at all. It's
not good. It's not getting
terrible.
It done against one of the worst rush defenses in the NFL. That's not getting it done.
Yeah.
So what's going on? Were they trying to just trot out nonsense? Is that what they're doing?
I don't get it. I don't. It's just one of those things that's really frustrating in the fantasy spectrum because you think Cam Akers would be a lot better than Alexander Madison. So,
what do you do with Cam Akers right now? You cut him?
I mean, if you can find something better, by all means. But it's just one of those things where, what are you going to cut him for? That's out there, I guess.
Yeah, that's the other part of it. I mean, there's not really this waiver wire isn't going to be super I need to go and grab this guy kind of thing.
No, I don't see that happening.
No. Outside of that, though, there was nothing else that I care about this game for.
Yeah. Moving on to the next game here, we had Seattle going into Cincy. Seattle had a chance to win it, but they blew it twice. Geno Smith could not find the end zone today. It was 13-17. I will talk about Seattle side here. Kenneth Walker's still getting it done on the ground. It's pretty impressive. I can't believe we passed on him. I think we were all scared of Zachary Charbonnet taking over that role, but he is nowhere close. Kenneth Walker had 19 carries compared to Zach's 2.
I was I don't think he had more than 4. I couldn't remember him having 4.
And Kenneth Walker was involved in the fucking passing game with 3 receptions, 27 yards. I mean, I can't express it enough. Kenneth Walker is an absolute steal for everybody. Geno Smith was kind of a letdown. He had no touchdowns because the only touchdown they had was Kenneth Walker on the ground. Tyler Lockett had a big game today. 6 receptions, 94 yards, and then DK was injured, came back, 4 receptions for 69 yards for 10 points, and then JSN he's slowly getting there. He had 4 receptions, 48 yards today, so it was an exciting game for Seattle.
Yeah, Geno was under duress.
Yeah, he was. I mean, they're still waiting for their tackles to come back, but since he has a pretty good D-line.
Yeah, he was getting hornswoggled all day. Hornswoggled.
Yeah.
I think that's it for the sentiments that you said about Ken Walker. What a steal. What a steal. Yeah. What a steal. Imagine him being on an 0-16. That'd be crazy. Imagine he'd be on an 0-16. On the Cincinnati side of the ball, Brennan.
Yes, sir.
On the Cincinnati side of the ball.
So Joe Burrow, I don't know if he's back. He had a good game. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but it was okay. I mean, 24 for 35, 185 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did throw a pick. Um, I mean, Jamar Chase, didn't kill you again. 6 receptions, 80 yards. Tyler Boyd actually had the most points from this backfield because he had a touchdown. And T. Higgins, again, I had a feeling he was going to be not really utilized. If you did start him, I'm really sorry. I would have told all of you guys shouldn't have. 2 receptions, 20 yards. It's a pain tolerance thing for him. So it's probably going to be till you see a full practice through the entire week of it not saying ribs. That's when I'd probably start him.
Yeah. Notes that I took away from this was that Joe Burrow looks mediocre right now. That's kind of what I saw. But I will say that Seattle's defense is better than what people want to give them credit for. They have a good defense.
They do.
So that could be part of this.
It could be a part of it. I think Joe's slowly getting up. I think it's on a slight incline. I'm not saying he's back, but he's slowly getting there. And I think you can now start him comfortably because I think he's starting to get back in the rhythm of being, healthy.
I think that he's a trade for target.
Yeah, I can agree with that. If you're going
to go try and get a quarterback, I think that you might be able to kick the tires, see what you can get with him,
Yeah, I agree. I definitely 100% agree with that. Yeah, so we'll move on to the probably the biggest upset of the day. San Francisco had a chance to win it with a 40-yard kick with the kicker they took in the 5th round draft pick, who is the most accurate kicker in college, and he shanked it 40 yards. Cleveland wins 19-17.
I can't believe Cleveland wins that game.
What? Sorry, say it again?
I can't believe Cleveland won that game.
I know. I
can't believe it.
They cost me money. San Francisco cost me a lot of money today. It's so hurtful.
I had a couple notes from Cleveland's side of the ball just to start with them because they did win.
Yep.
I don't know if what you saw today was a kind of a precursor to say that Kareem Hunt's probably going to take over that backfield, but I kind of felt like that. He did have 12 carries. It was like 47 yards and a touchdown. He had a couple receptions, but he looks better than Ford. I think he did.
I don't think so. I think it'll be a split backfield from here on out, though. I think Jerome Ford still had 17 carries for 84 yards today, compared to Kareem Hunt's 12 for 47. I think it's just a matter of how they think they're going to rotate the backs in. I think Kareem Hunt now knows the offense. I mean, I'm sure he knew the offense before with Stefanski, but I'm sure now it's a more comfortability thing with him to get in there and get more work. And so I'm okay with that. And if you guys did not start Amari Cooper because of PJ Walker, you're probably kicking yourself in the teeth because he had a pretty good game, 4 receptions, 108 yards. He did have a fumble, but I mean, regardless, that's still pretty good points, 13 points. Yeah, I don't know if Elijah Moore is startable until Deshaun Watson gets back.
Even then.
Even then?
It's a PPR.
Yeah, he was.
The other part of this is that, PJ Walker could have won this game 10 million times more than what he did. He consistently had yards and yards of freedom to rush with the ball himself, take it himself, and consistently put the ball in harm's way over and over again. And I wondered what that was.
Yeah, he was overthrowing guys, underthrowing guys. It was really weird because they could have easily won this game by a lot. I felt like San Francisco looked flat. I don't know what it was. On the San Francisco side, Brock Purdy, I know you've been starting him a lot, but he looked bad today. This is probably his worst game I've seen him play. He was 12 for 27, 125 yards. He did have a touchdown, an interception, and a fumble. I guess they really need CMC. I like that this team is what CMC, however far CMC goes. So, because as soon as he left, it was downhill very quickly. Brandon Ayuk, again, great game for him. 4 receptions, 76 yards, and he's a leading receiver on this team. George Kittle, only 1 reception for 1 yard. You're going to get those games for him. Again, last week he had all the touchdowns in the world, and this week he got you 0.1 or 0.6 or 1.1, whatever form you want to play in.
Really tough. That one's a hard pill to swallow. The conditions were bad, though. I'll say that. Not to defend or give some sort of excuse for what Purdy was doing, but Purdy did fumble 2 more times in that game that he picked up himself.
Yeah.
So he really fumbled 3 times, and I don't know. He didn't look great. Not the best day. And Trent Williams went down too. That might have had.
He did go back in the game, I think.
I can't remember if he did or not.
Game.
It's hard to tell because you're not really paying attention to offensive linemen that much. But he is a big deal when he's there. They're a better offense. So
yes, I agree. So I will ask you if I guess we can talk about it like kind of here now because it is kind of relevant. If CMC does miss next week, are you going to pick up Jordan Mason or are you going to pick up Elijah Mitchell if they're available? Which one?
Elijah Mitchell.
All right.
Elijah Mitchell. Because you've seen Elijah Mitchell do it, and he's looked good. But he also gets hurt all the time, so it's like, who do you take a crap shot on? Who do you do it?
Yeah.
And you probably don't have any fab left if you spend all your fab on Demigod, because he's not a demigod. He doesn't play football, so
he's civilian.
Yeah, he's like that random dude in the corner now. That's what he is.
On to the next one. We have New Orleans. They went into Houston, and CJ Stroud proved that he is still the rookie of the year for a reason. It was 13-20. You started Stroud today. He didn't kill you, but again, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had a pick. I will let you guys know that Devin Singletary did split this backfield with Dameon Pierce. I don't know if that's more to come. I mean, he had 12 carries, 58 yards compared to Dameon Pierce's 13 carries for 34 yards. So I don't know what to make of that backfield anymore, Ray.
Why is Singletary getting work? Why?
I mean, he was more efficient than Dameon Pierce, technically, by the numbers.
I guess, but like, I hope it's not a split backfield. That would suck, especially for somebody that you needed the volume to even be in consideration to start. If it starts becoming a split, Dameon Pierce is going to find a lot of bench. And I'm already I was already leaning that way anyway.
Yeah.
So now that he's splitting work, what was Dameon Pierce's numbers?
Dameon Pierce went 13 for 34.
Yeah. See, like that's not going to do it. And I know the running back landscape is gross, but it's better than that.
Yeah, it's rough. Receiving side of the ball, Nico Collins, he was leading receivers, expected with Tank Dell out. And Dalton Schultz is now going to be a must start. He had 4 for 61 and a touchdown. He is definitely now more and more involved. He's more comfortable. CJ Stroud's more comfortable with him, and I think he's just going to keep targeting him, Nico, and Tank Dell in those mix. So, yeah. And then on the Saints side here, Derek Carr actually had a pretty good game, man. 32 for 50, 353 yards throwing, a touchdown. He did have a pick, but pretty good game if you started him. Alvin Kamara, 19 carries for 68 yards, but he did get most of his points by receptions with 7 for 36. And then for the receiving guys here, Rashid Shaheed with a big bomb. He went 2 for 85 and a touchdown. And Chris Olave, PPR machine, 7 receptions, 96 yards. And then Michael Thomas was 5 for 45.
I feel like that's Michael Thomas's stat line almost every week. With Chris Olave, Derek Carr looked like he had a little bit more juice behind the ball today. He still didn't look like, that's what I was saying. The offense didn't look that good. Like it really did. I think it's because when they put in, what is that damn tight end's name?
You're talking about Taysom Hill?
When they put in Taysom Hill, man, every time the offense looks worse because of it. That's what I feel like. They look worse because of it.
He actually had 7 receptions for 49 yards is what I'm seeing here. That's pretty impressive. Like
that's a tight end one.
The tight end one, man. Like
that's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, Alvin Kamara is great right now, and it's weird because you saw like glimpses of it before he even came back. Was that Derek Carr was checking the ball down at like a really high rate, and kind of works out for Alvin Kamara. It's been perfect so far. So kudos for those that held on because you got something that's real nice.
I agree.
Nice. Rashid Shaheed, though, I wanted to talk about him real fast. For deeper leagues, is he a weekly start? Must start?
Like 16 man, yeah, you can start
Yeah,
him
that's
in
what I'm saying.
16 man. Yeah, you can start him in a flex in a 16 man. That's about it though.
Or like a dynasty league.
Oh, if you have no choice, but he's very touchdown dependent. He's very long play touchdown dependent. So that's what you're trying to hope for with him.
Yeah, I'm pointing it out because like we have a couple 16-man leaguers here,
Yeah,
and I like Rashid Shaheed. And I think that he provides like that boom bust kind of thing that I would like on a 16-man roster. You know.
I agree. Yeah. All right. Let's talk about this devastating game. My Colts have still not beaten Jacksonville since 2014. We got hornswoggled 20-37. I will talk about the Colts side. For any idiot out there that thought Gardner Minshew is better than Anthony Richardson, here's your proof today. He is not. He is not better. It's not even close. Gardner Minshew threw 3 interceptions that were just terrible. He fumbled it. This game was bad for him by all accounts. He did not help us at all. Our defense couldn't, stop anything, sure, but he did not help the defense out. Zach Moss was still the leading back today. I mean, by virtue, he had 7 carries for 21 yards and a touchdown. He also had 6 receptions for 38 yards. Jonathan Taylor, he did have 8 carries for 19. He had 5 receptions for 45 yards. It wasn't anything crazy, but it's just one of those things where Jacksonville has a really good run D, and we just couldn't get anything going. Michael Pittman had himself a game, 9 receptions, 109 yards, and Josh Downs, who I'm going to tell you guys now, you can consider starting him with Gardner Minshew in the lineup because he had 5 receptions for 21 yards and a touchdown. Because Alex Pierce did get hurt in this game, and he's going to probably not be our wide receiver too.
That and Josh Downs brings something to that offense. I'm telling you, he brings something to that offense.
Little speedy little guy, and he gets open.
Yeah, he's good at finding spots, and that's like what they need right now, specifically with Gardner Minshew. But Zach Moss, what you doing with Zach Moss right now?
You're gonna keep starting him. I mean, you have no choice. Like I own both him and Jonathan Taylor in one league, and I started Jonathan Taylor again today, and I was wrong. You should have started Zach Moss. And I'm next week. I will still start Zach Moss and watch Jonathan Taylor will get the touchdown and the most points. But it is what it is. I still think Zach Moss, you can start him in because he has a role here. Oh, on the Jacksonville side, looks like Travis Etienne played himself again in fantasy football because he had 2 touchdowns. He went 18 for 55, 2 touchdowns with 3 receptions for 28 yards. And out of the receiving backfield, the only receivers to catch the ball for Jacksonville was Christian Kirk and Calvin Ridley. And without Christian Kirk's touchdown, they would have both been awful today. And they were basically.
Yeah, and with Trevor Lawrence, he's been showing me a lot of like hot and cold, like where he'll go on these streaks and drives where you're like, oh, wait a minute, he's the real deal. Yeah. And then he'll have like these boneheaded decisions and throws that he has. And you're like, where is this coming from? Like, why is that a thing? And you were saying that maybe he got banged up and maybe this was like an underlying issue prior to the game starting. And maybe that's what I was seeing,
Yeah, I mean,
could be. I don't know what it is. I'm trying to figure out what it is.
I don't know. I think it was just they were so far ahead that we were playing catch up, and they got like their play calling in the second half was so stagnant because it was like 20-6 at halftime. Like their play calling got really stagnant and pale. It was just like, all right, we'll run the ball a little bit here, a little dump off to Calvin Ridley for a little hitch route. Like it was really stagnant. Gardner Minshew threw 3 interceptions. He's the reason why they were down and they scored so much or got so many field goals, because Gardner Minshew was just not keeping the ball to the Colts. It was going to the Jacksonville.
What are you doing with Calvin Ridley right now?
Starting him every week. I mean, last week was a great week for him. This week, and it was just one of those games where it was Travis Etienne because they were just beating us on the run every time. So you start him every week. And
Christian Kirk as the one.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm looking at here, Calvin Ridley had more targets than Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk just had a touchdown because it was a blown coverage. That was about it. Had it not been it would have probably not been a touchdown had it not been blown coverage. So it was just a weird game.
Christian Kirk has outscored Calvin Ridley by a country mile through this season.
Yeah, it's frustrating where you took Calvin compared to where Christian. So those who said Christian Kirk would still be the guy, kudos to you because you were correct. Because Calvin's just it's not. You're really dependent on Calvin really getting a big touchdown play.
Yeah, I just wanted to point that out because like that's weird. Oh, and Tank Bigsby still stays on the back of your lineup, or
your boy is not going to be doing anything anytime soon because ETN is just rolling.
Yeah, he's on fire right now.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna eat my words. I'm gonna take my anti-victory up. I'm gonna take a backwards lap and a back pedal all the way out of there. So what do we got next here?
All right, Carolina goes into Miami and it was a close game for the first quarter, but then it just blew it out of the water. It was 21-42 Miami. Talk about Miami side here. Tua had a great game, 262 yards, 3 touchdowns. Raheem Mostert even had a better game, 17 carries, 115 yards, 3 touchdowns. It showed pretty effective so whoever gets the backfield of this team is an RB1.
Oh yeah.
So Raheem Mostert owners enjoy it till Devon Achane gets back because it's impressive that whoever is the leading back for that team is just you are the RB1.
But even like Selvin Ahmed looked good.
Selvin Ahmed got some carry, got some work in. Yeah, I mean he got 12 points in full point PPR, which is impressive.
Yeah.
So for those that did start him and was just thinking it was going to be a bloodbath, kudos to you. You were correct.
That's so bold. But like it happens. I know it would happen somewhere.
Yeah. Tyreek Hill's on pace to get 2,000 yards. He had 163 yards and a touchdown today. It's ridiculous. Almost 30 points in PPR standards. Jalen Waddle, great game for him. 7 receptions, 51 yards and a touchdown. It's impressive that Tyreek might actually legitimately get over 2,000 yards.
If he doesn't get hurt, he's gonna do it.
Yeah.
There's no way. No one can stop him. Like he's unstoppable right now.
You know what's gonna stop him is cramps because he runs
cramps because he's running for so long.
Yes,
not being tackled.
It is ridiculous.
Crazy. It's crazy.
Oh man. Carolina side, Bryce Young was okay. Wasn't anything crazy.
Adam Thielen stays hot.
Thielen is hot on these streets, man. 11 receptions, 115 yards and a touchdown, 28 points in full point PPR standards. And for those who picked up Chuba Hubbard, you are very excited. 19 carries, 88 yards and a touchdown. So kudos to you guys. There's no one else really worth owning on these team besides Chuba and Adam Thielen. DJ Chark's nothing. Jonathan Mingo only had 2 receptions. So if you're holding on to DJ Chark or Jonathan Mingo, please cut them.
I could see a world where you hold on to Jonathan Mingo in deep leagues or dynasty or something like that. But like if it's a redraft and it's like a 12 or 10 man league, you can go ahead and cut him. You don't waste the roster spot.
Yeah. Let me ask you, does Adam Thielen finish as a wide receiver 1 this year?
It's looking like it. It's looking like that old man is going to be there. But it's weird because Adam Thielen, for a while now, for a few seasons now, has shown he got really hot in the beginning of the season and then just fell off at the end of the season. I wonder if that's going to happen again. I wonder if that is like his actual trajectory.
That's just so great. Like, think about it. You took him probably the very near end of your draft, and he is currently, if I'm not mistaken, let me check my stats here. He is wide receiver. He's wide receiver 10 on the year.
I kind of expected it to be a little higher, but then I get who's up there and who should be up there and they're not.
Yeah. So that's everyday start now for him. We'll move on to the next game. Actually, it was a little bit of a nail biter here. New England goes into Vegas again and loses again. It was 17-21. We forgot to mention this again. I guess these guys are kind of hard because they just don't make much of a presence in fantasy football. Jimmy Garoppolo injured his back. He's actually getting a CT scan, so it doesn't sound good. Because I'm going to ask you this: did Davante Adams change his number to 16?
Sure felt like he did.
Because Jacoby Myers led this team in targets, receptions, and yards. He was 5 for 61 and a touchdown. And Davante Adams, 2 for 29. What are you doing with Davante?
You keep putting him in your lineup. You can't, if you trade him now, you're trading him just on name alone. He's had one really big week, and then outside of that, it just hasn't been what you would have hoped it would be. You would think that they'd be hyper targeting him, and that they sometimes it's happening sparsely. Today, last week, no. Yeah. And it's like, it's not that he's not open, because he's open. He's always open.
He's always open.
I don't get it. I don't.
Well, get it. Josh Jacobs, 25 carries for 77 yards. They're going to keep feeding him. I mean, he's gonna break one. He only got 11 points today, but keep starting him. And Michael Mayer, their rookie tight end, was wide open all game today against the Patriots. He had 5 receptions for 75 yards. I don't know if I'd fall for picking him up next week, but because it looks like Jimmy Garoppolo is going to miss some time. All right, let's talk about the Patriots side in this desolated team. We got to, unfortunately. Mac Jones is still bad. He's still the quarterback for this team. They are 1-5. Billy Zappi was not activated today. It was actually Malik Cunningham, their kind of gadget guy. They try to work into this offense and try to make plays. It just didn't work out. It was nothing creative. Ramondre Stevenson, for all the Ramondre owners out there, this is the game you're waiting for. He actually got injured, and it was very scary because it was the longest run of his season, and then he got injured. So it was just kind of the epitome there. But he comes back. He gets the touchdown. He had 18 points in the day. Kendrick Bourne was an animal today. 10 receptions, 89 yards. And then none of the tight ends really did anything. So what are you doing with this Patriots team? What are you doing with the guys you own?
It's only Ramondre. That's it.
Okay.
It's the only thing that you can rely on. And even then, it was scary for a while. I think things are going to be just fine. They're going to be all right. Mac Jones might be one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL.
I think he is 29th.
He looks awful, like really bad.
Let me ask you a question. If Desmond Ridder was in this game, would he have done better?
Probably.
That's where I was at. I was like, I watch Mac Jones play, and it's just, I think he's in his own head now, because going from his rookie year being a Pro Bowl quarterback, actually a pretty good quarterback too.
He was a flexed Pro Bowl quarterback.
Yeah, I get it, but still, he had good numbers though for a rookie, and it's just been downhill.
Maybe, defense has kind of figured some things out, but like he himself just isn't that good. He's just not. And I don't know how many times I had to say it during this, like when it was on Red Zone, I'm like, can we just please get Mac Jones off of my television, please? And it's crazy because I swear to God, for like every chance that they was on Red Zone, it was the Patriots offense. I'm like, how did they have the ball for this long, this many times, and nothing came of it? Nothing.
Yeah, it just blows my mind how they're going to keep going to him. But Bailey Zappi was not activated today, so it's still. I think they wanted to bring in Cunningham and just see if they can mix something in with the offense, and they tried to do some plays, and it just didn't work out. It just was not there today. That's all I have for that game. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
No,
let's talk about another game that costs a lot of people money. The Philadelphia Eagles go into the Jets and give the Jets some real hope here. It was 14-20. I'll start with the Eagles side. Jalen Hurts had smooth brain syndrome today. I don't get it. The dude threw 3 interceptions, and like 2 of them were just like
really bad.
Right at and the Jets were without Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed, their starting cornerbacks.
Yeah. So like I thought for sure today was like, oh, they're gonna eat. Nope. The Jets defense decided to eat today. I just imagine if Aaron Rodgers was healthy, what record they'd have, because I think they legitimately could be 5-1. That's what my fantasy team in that main league would be too.
But besides Jalen Hurts throwing 3 picks, he still had a pretty good game. Fantasy wise, he had 24 points overall, almost PPR standards. DeAndre Swift, he did save you with a touchdown today. He did lose a fumble, but he was kind of irrelevant in the second half. He had all that work in the first half and then just disappeared.
Yeah, I mean, look, Devonta Smith had some uncharacteristic drops too today. He had 2, like
really bad,
egregious ones. And I'm like, man, he catches those. What's your worry meter right now on Devonta Smith?
I mean, he still led the team in targets. He had 11 compared to AJ Brown's 9, but it's just like I don't know what's going on with him personally, because I still think he can lead this team in yards and receptions because he's just a little bit more of a, shiftier guy, and it works out well for that offense. But I mean, AJ Brown, man, he's just 7 for 131 yards today. I mean, it's tough. I mean, he's becoming a little more reliable than Devonta Smith.
That's the word I would never want to use for AJ Brown is reliable, but like that's what it's been.
Yes.
He's always been like a big boom bust kind of guy, but now it's like every week, 130 yards every week.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. That's so tough.
It's tough. I think this is just a bad game, and the Eagles haven't looked great all season. I know they're 5-1, but like, if you could have told me they're 3-3, I would have believed you. Like, because their games have been pretty bad, and it's just like I don't know what's going on with Philly. They're lucky they're 5-1. Kudos to them, but I don't know. As an Eagles fan, I'd be pretty worried. Jets side, Zach Wilson had, not fantasy wise a great game, but like, I mean, Breece Hall, 20 points. He had 12 carries, 39 yards, 5 receptions on the ground, touchdown. Garrett Wilson, this is the game we were really looking for Garrett Wilson. 8 receptions, 90 yards. I think with Zach Wilson getting a little more confidence, I'm more confident with Garrett Wilson every week.
Yeah, I'm almost to the point where he probably needs to be weekly started, but it's only because of the amount of targets he's getting. Because a lot of these targets are empty targets. Like they're towards him, but they're not anywhere near him.
I'll read you the targets for the team here. So he had 12. Randall Cobb had 3. Alan Lazard had 3. And Mecole Hardman had 2.
It's kind of what you thought it was going to be, with Aaron Rodgers. Only, can you see the path of what the thought process was?
Because
now
his throws are not like on point. If he hits them in stride, Garrett Wilson gets more yards.
Garrett Wilson would be the receiver one this season.
Yeah,
if he had Aaron Rodgers.
I could see that world.
Crazy that it's just so unfortunate. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I don't want to talk about it. Dalvin Cook needs to be a hold. He needs to be a hold on your somebody's roster needs to be a handcuff.
Nah,
I think he does.
I'm on the other side of that. I think you can cut him and forget about him because he sucks.
If Breece Hall goes down, Dalvin Cook is going to get all of the work. And do you want to pay Fab for Dalvin Cook? No.
You got a roster spot? You can hold him because of that thought process. But in all honesty, if Breece Hall is healthy all year and then you're just wasting an empty roster spot on Dalvin Cook, that's where I stand.
I get where you're at. I'm just saying, if you got an empty roster spot, roster him. Yeah. Roster him and hold. Just if something happens.
I get it. Yeah. Moving on to the next game here. Arizona goes into LA, and Arizona looked close in the first half and then just gets blown out of the water. It's 9-26. Kyren Williams is just going to win people leagues because he was probably undrafted or a very late round pick. He had 20 carries for 158 yards. And when I mean this, they were just running all over Arizona. It is ridiculous. He got so much work because they figured it out finally in the second half. And for Cooper Kupp, he is back. He is the man. It's not even a debate. He had 7 receptions, 148 yards, and a touchdown. Puka was a little disappointing on that side, but it was just all Cooper Kupp today.
Yeah, and honestly, Puka would have been fine if he'd just caught that touchdown pass.
Yep.
He would have been fine. He would have been great.
He was very unethical, not like him to drop that because he was kind of wide open. He literally just dropped it on himself.
Yeah, the ground caused the drop.
Yeah.
And then my heart dropped.
Yeah. Arizona side, for all those that spent all that fab on Amari DeMercado, we are very sorry. It was very much Keontae Ingram, their other rookie who they drafted in the 3rd round, I believe. He got the work. Wasn't that impressive, though, to be honest. 10 carries, 40 yards, 2 receptions. I'm sorry, Ray. I'm very sorry.
Even Damian Williams was getting more work than him.
It's
like, what do they do? And it's weird because the times that old demigod touched the ball, he looked good doing it. He looked good. The 2 times he carried the ball.
The 2 times. Yep. That's unfortunate. And the receiving side of this game, I mean, Hollywood Brown led this team in targets with 11, but he only had 4 receptions for 34 yards. He had a couple drops, so I wouldn't put it past him. I'd still start him pretty comfortably. And then Trey McBride was the better tight end of Zach Ertz. But again, if you have Zach Ertz, you're still starting him. You're hoping for a touchdown because you think he's a little more reliable than Trey McBride.
Yeah, Trey McBride might not ever be a thing.
Yeah. That's all I have for this game. It wasn't much of a game.
That's it.
Yeah. So next game, Detroit goes into Tampa Bay, and this was a very bad game for Baker and all of Tampa. Detroit, 20-6 here. Jared Goff had a very good game, man. I think you can just leave him in your starting quarterback and just forget about it.
Yeah, and Amon-Ra is all that's man.
Yes,
He's all that's man.
12 receptions, 124 yards, and a touchdown, which equates to 30 points in fantasy. That's just crazy. Hey, Jameson Williams got a touchdown today, a big bomb. I don't know if you saw that.
He did, yeah. I saw it.
Nice little catch there.
Yeah.
With David Montgomery coming out of this game, I would hold steadfast on Reynolds picking him up because let's see what Jahmyr Gibbs is healthy. If Jahmyr Gibbs is healthy, he's just going to become the workhorse.
Maybe.
Alrighty. On the Tampa Bay side, this is just a bad game for Baker. He just didn't look all there. Another bad game. Rachaad White. I know Tampa's got a really, really good run D, but 7 carries.
Detroit has a really good run D.
Yeah, sorry, Detroit. My apologies. Detroit has a really good run D. 7 carries for 26 yards. Only 6 points in the ground for fantasy. He had a really bad game. And then Chris Godwin, good call for you, Ray. Your start of the week. He was the leading guy for this team. 6 receptions, 77 yards. If you had Mike Evans, it was kind of a dud game. 4 receptions, 49 yards.
Surprised that he even played, honestly. I really was, because if you didn't practice after a bye week, you know that he's still hurt. So he played through it, however severe that hamstring injury was. And he looked like he had an uncharacteristic drop late in the game. That I think would have extended a drive for Tampa Bay. But I don't know. Just an off game. And it kind of was like Detroit has a good defense. They have a great
run defense.
They have a great pass rush.
Yeah.
And Baker saw all of that, so kind of a little more, if Baker's going to be playing against a good pass rush, you can kind of maybe see a world where his weapons, his receivers aren't as viable, like they didn't kill you, but they didn't have like this giant game because Baker doesn't have time to look down the field or something like that,
Yeah.
Because their offensive line sucks. And Rachaad White sucks.
Yeah. That's all I have for that game. And then the game we just finished watching not too long ago, the New York Giants, man, almost won the game. And they should have got called PI and Darren Waller again for the second time. Unfortunately, time rolled out. It was 9-14. If I'm Buffalo, I don't know how you feel pretty confident going forward because that was a very, very bad game. Your spread was, I think, 15.5, and you almost lose that game. But fantasy side of it, Josh Allen saved himself at the very end with the 2 touchdowns. James Cook should be touching the ball only, not Latavius Murray. He had 14 carries, 71 yards, compared to Latavius Murray's 12 carries for 45 yards. I don't know why they just don't give James Cook a little bit more work, because he clearly needs it, and he makes this offense more fluid. It was just really frustrating from that aspect of it.
It's weird. And then like Damian Harris went out about, I don't know,
second quarter.
Yeah, the second quarter. I was going to say
scary.
About the second quarter.
Ambulance came on the field.
Yeah. That could mean that, you're going to see a lot more Latavius Murray. I highly doubt the game plan going into today was give Latavius Murray 12 carries. I'm assuming that was going to go to Damian Harris.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just weird, but he might be someone you got to kind of monitor because Damian Harris probably looks like. If you ever get carted off with an ambulance, you're probably going to miss some significant time.
It's true.
So, Stephon Diggs is still a very, very good receiver. He had 10 receptions for 100 yards. And everybody else was irrelevant. Gabe Davis, if you started him, it's really unfortunate. He had a fumble. And so he basically ended the day with only 2 points. Dalton Kincaid was a late scratch. He was going to be a game time decision. And Dawson Knox had the opportunity for himself, but only came away with 3 receptions for 17 yards. So not much to make of it.
Yeah, not much there. And honestly, I wish that they would just make the move to Dalton Kincaid fully when he comes back. I wish they'd do that.
Yeah.
I think that he provides a little more to the offense.
Yeah. On the Giants side, this was probably their better day for the receivers, man. I mean, Tyrod Taylor made this team pretty functional. I don't know what it was. It was kind of a night and day difference. Wanda Robinson had 8 receptions for 60 yards. Darius Slayton had 4 receptions for 70 yards. Jalen Hyatt had a big bomb and was taken back, but Darren Waller, 5 receptions, 43 yards. This is the best they've had since the season started.
And then Saquon.
But yeah, I mean, their offensive line is beat to hell. 24 carries for 93 yards, 4 receptions for 5 yards. I mean, man, you watch that game and you see what Tyrod Taylor did with the same offensive line that Daniel Jones has had. I mean, you're not going to not start Daniel Jones when he comes back, but it just goes to show I think they really made a mistake giving him all that money.
Yeah, I said it maybe 6 or 7 times during that game. Like, imagine paying Daniel Jones $40 million and then Tyrod Taylor comes in and looks better than him by a mile. Because he did.
He did.
He looked so much better than Daniel Jones.
I legitimately thought they could win that game because Tyrod Taylor looked like he could actually go down the field and score for them.
I thought they were going to win that game. And to be honest with you, it should have been a pass interference, and they should have done a tush push to get in. They should have done it. And maybe punctured another lung or something. Who knows? Who knows?
If it wasn't for the punctured lung, we wouldn't see Justin Herbert that rookie year.
It's true. It's true. That doctor,
Thank you.
His name is what is it? Huston Gerbert. He had a funny mustache and he has really long hair. It's weird.
Crazy. All right, Ray, do you have anything else for this week?
No, that's it.
All right, guys. If you guys stuck around for this long, thank you guys. We really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions for your league or anything else like that, comment below. I'm sure myself or Ray will get to you guys as soon as possible. If you have any questions, anything like that, any waiver wire pickups, let us know. We will definitely help you out. But until then, guys, we will see you later.